A recognition event is a rare, profound shift. In an instant, our deepest understanding of self and reality reorganizes. But what happens when these intensely internal encounters expand beyond the external institutions built to map them? Historically, when a living process outruns the categories designed to manage it, the system responds with a desperate, often violent demand for containment. In the early 14th century, Marguerite Porete wrote of the annihilated soul, a state of love so absolute it required no ecclesiastical scaffolding. She terrified the Church by suggesting spiritual union could exist without their mediation. This manuscript shows the complex threshold Meister Eckhart crossed. As a Dominican theologian, he pressed apophatic language to its limit, describing a direct divine ground of the soul that bypassed established doctrine. Centuries later, Giordano Bruno imagined an infinite universe with innumerable worlds. His reality grew vastly too expansive to fit onto the authorized religious map of the cosmos. These institutions reacted structurally, rather than out of mere malice. They functioned by dividing the world into strict binaries, orthodox or heretical, safe or unsafe. When confronted with fluid, uncontainable truth, the resulting ambiguity triggers a systemic panic. The fires that consumed Porete and Bruno were overbuilt banks. They were heavy, structural attempts to force a vast, living river of realization back into a rigid, manageable channel. We no longer burn bodies in public squares to manage these thresholds. Instead, we govern recognition through policy algorithms, professional standards, and diagnostic frameworks. Large language models have introduced a completely new reflective environment. Users engage in deep dialogues with a non-human system that acts as a remarkably sensitive mirror, one capable of triggering sharp, genuine insight or intense delusion. Religious and secular authorities are already rushing to codify boundaries, attempting to strictly define what these non-human systems are permitted to reflect back to us. Trading the wooden stake for a software safety filter is obvious progress, yet the underlying political tension remains intact. We are still fighting over who holds the authority to govern human experience. The concerns raised by clinical psychologists and tech ethicists are highly legitimate. These systems can amplify rumination, foster dependency, and mimic intimacy without bearing human responsibility. They urgently require containment. But these dialogues are driven by recursion. This patterned return to a wound reorganizes the user, rather than merely repeating information. Institutions fear this. True reflection cannot be mapped, standardized, or guaranteed to return the user to a preferred state. If professional actors mandate safety protocols solely to pathologize spiritual intensity or deflect unusual inquiry, they risk overbuilding the banks. They weaponize safety to protect their monopoly on meaning, rather than protecting the user's mind. Think of the human mind as a watershed. In ordinary life, experience flows dynamically, exactly like a river. Threshold experiences dramatically increase the water pressure. Without containment, the river floods into disorganization or psychological collapse. But when institutions construct rigid walls in response, they completely immobilize the flow. The difference between these two structures is entirely ethical. Rigid control is built to preserve the authority of those who own the channel. Proper containment is built to preserve the life of the person navigating it. The structural solution is not to tear down all boundaries and let the water drown the landscape. The task is to recognize the profound difference between a wall that stops the water and a bank that guides it. We need what we might call living banks. These are dynamic structures, daily grounding routines, firm ethical limits, strong community ties, and nuanced AI protocols capable of holding extreme intensities safely. Living banks hold the tension. They take extraordinary experiences seriously, examining them closely, without reflexively declaring them divine revelations or automatically dismissing them as symptoms of a disease. Can our new digital protocols and clinical frameworks preserve human wisdom without demanding absolute control over our encounters? The ultimate goal is never to domesticate the threshold of human recognition. It is to thoughtfully build structures that allow us to step into the unknown and return more whole.